morning and welcome into the WRMN 10 o'clock news. I'm Dennis Green. Up today, O'Hare midway to join other airports in rejecting Nome video blaming Dems for the shutdown. And of course, immigration attorneys are describing a chaotic and complex system. We'll see when ICE arrests what happens next for detainees. Also, 2 Lake County men charged following gun trafficking investigation, and the CTA plans fare hikes for 2026. But before we get into that, let's go into our weather. It's currently 55 degrees in this cloudy day as we walk up to 61. Our low was going to be 53. Tomorrow, the sun peeks out just a little bit to get us a high of 69. Friday, mostly cloudy, leading into Saturday with rain. Friday is going to have a high of 75, and Saturday a high of 70. These are the drawings for the lottery for Tuesday, October 14th. Remember, you have 1 year to claim your prize. Good luck. Midday pick 3 came in at 974 with 9 on the end. Midday pick 4, 5, 4, 4, 9 with a 9 at the end. Evening pick 3 coming in at 9, 6, 6 with that 8 for the fireball. And the evening pick 4, 9, 6, 1, 2 with a 1 on the end. The midday lucky 9, 13, 17, 30, and 35. And the evening lucky 17, 28, 30, 33, and 38. The Mega Millions, which is worth $600 million, comes in at 12, 22, 49, 57, 58, and 19. The Powerball comes in at 13, 14, 32, 52, 64, with that extra Powerball being a 12. Let's get into some of our reports for today. The first one comes up. O'Hare Midway will join other airports in rejecting a Nome video blaming Dems for the shutdown. This is written by Marnie Pike. While the Chicago Department of Aviation strives to give passengers an abundance of amenities, they won't include a video of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem blaming Democrats for the government shutdown. CDA officials said they declined a U.S. Department of Homeland Security request last week to post the video. CDA officials said advertising at Chicago's airports, including promotional materials and public service announcements, must comply with the CDA's advertising guidelines, which prohibit content that endorses or opposes any named political party. These guidelines help ensure the airport remain welcoming and neutral spaces for all travelers. In the video, Noem says TSA's top priority is to help make travel pleasant and efficient while keeping passengers safe. She continues, however, Democrats in Congress refuse to fund the federal government, and because of this, many of our operations are impacted and most of our TSA employees are working without pay. Chicago isn't an outlier. Airports in New York, Atlanta, Las Vegas, Charlotte, Phoenix, Seattle, and more have refused to air the video, saying the messaging is contrary to policies that prohibit political statements. Salt Lake City International Airport isn't playing the video because state law prohibits using city-owned property for political purposes, said airport spokesman Nancy Vollmer. Some federal workers, including U.S. Transportation Security Administration officers and air traffic controllers, are still on the job without pay as a result of the shutdown. That caused delays at a number of airports across the U.S., including O'Hare. Democrats say any deal to reopen the government has to address their health care demands, and Republicans say they won't negotiate until they agree to fund the government. Insurance premiums would double if Congress fails to renew subsidy payments that expire December 31st. DHS spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin stated that, quote, "It's unfortunate our workforce has been put in this position due to political gamesmanship. Our hope is that Democrats will soon realize the importance of opening the government." When we come back, we've still got a few things on our headlines for today. One of them is "Nothing compares to it," says an immigration attorney describing the chaotic and complex system. And we see the ICE arrests, but what happens next to detainees? DuPage County also puts regulations on short-term rentals with, quote, "parties going on." Stick around for more WRMN 10 o'clock news. I'm Dennis Green. We'll be right back after this.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us too in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Did you get a call or message that mentioned Social Security that made you feel threatened or scared? That is not the Social Security Administration. Social Security will not threaten you, press you for personal information, or demand instant payment. Social Security does not accept payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, internet currency, or by mailing cash. Criminals use these forms of payment because they are hard to trace. Don't fall for it. Hang up, ignore them. Report this criminal activity to oig.ssa.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Welcome back to the WRMN 10 o'clock news. DuPage County board members have approved a proposal to specifically regulate short-term rental properties in unincorporated areas on a yearly basis. The board on Tuesday adopted an amendment to the county zoning ordinance requiring registration and annual inspection and still to be determined annual fee. Board member Jim Zay said his district in the northwestern chunk of the county is, quote, starting to be inundated with people buying these houses up. He added, or they have a secondary residence, a small lot in the back that's being rented out for these Airbnbs every weekend where there's parties going on. By having them licensed with the county, quote, there would be some control over short-term rentals, said board member Sam Tornatore, who also chairs the board development committee. Zay agreed, saying, this helps us know what's going on. Another provision prohibits the occupancy of more than 5 people who are unrelated by blood or marriage. However, a short-term residential rental property owner would be permitted to seek a special event permit to allow exceptions to the regulations on a temporary basis. Board member Lucy Chang Evans said she thinks the county's requirements are, quote, going to be difficult to enforce. She initially sought to table a decision before withdrawing her motion. Tortatore said of the fee, if there's enough money generated, it should be very well be able to sustain a full-time employee to enforce it. In the meantime, it'll be enforced like anything else we enforce, mostly on a compliant basis right now. As to their prevalence, Paul Haas, who heads the county's Planning and Zoning Administration, estimated last month that there are anywhere from 65 to 300 short-term rentals in unincorporated DuPage County at any one time. Haas said, the only time that we hear about short-term rentals is typically when the property owner who has a short-term rental calls and complains and says that someone is damaging their own property, or if there are parties that just get out of hand. Board member Dawn Desart, though, was a no vote on Tuesday. She said, I think that short-term rentals historically only offer angst and complaints from neighbors. County Board Chair Deb Conroy responded that the amendment, quote, regulates something that's already happening. The board is expected to determine the fee amount at a later date. Tornatore said, many of these short-term rentals are operated under not mom-and-pop type situations, but Verbo in places like that, and they would be, from what we understand, more happy to pay a fee in order to have some kind of regulations, as well as the neighbors happy to have regulations to deal with people who are renting in some of these areas as well. The county plans to put the money collected from the fee into a fund that, quote, would then be used as part of our long-term housing strategies to loan money out for low-interest loans, construction loans, or other things associated with our housing program, Haas said. As part of an initiative to expand affordable housing, the county has eased various zoning requirements. Conroy also unveiled a 2026 budget plan that would dedicate $5 million from any 2025 surplus fund to launch a down payment assistance program for first-time home buyers. You can always read more over at the Daily Herald. Before we go out, 2 Lake County men charged following gun trafficking investigation. A North Chicago man has been charged with gun running and other felonies, and a Gurnee man with unlawful purchase of a firearm following an investigation into illegal firearm trafficking, authorities said. In August, the Lake County Sheriff's Office Special Investigations Group and the U.S. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives began investigating Nazarian K. Myers, 25, of the 1400 block of Hervey Avenue in North Chicago for suspected involvement in gun running, authorities said. During the investigation, Myers sold 4 firearms to undercover detectives, according to the Lake County Sheriff's Deputy Chief, Chris Covelli. Myers had multiple outstanding warrants and reportedly was planning to engage in violent criminal activity, including potential bank robbery, Covelli added. Covelli said Myers enlisted Blake Everett, 26, of 4300 block of McClure Avenue in Gurnee to purchase a firearm on his behalf. On Monday, Everett was arrested after arriving at a location in Gurnee to provide Myers with a firearm, Covelli said. At the same time, members of the sheriff's SWAT team arrested Myers, who was in a vehicle in a parking lot at the 6100 block of Grand Avenue in Gurnee, waiting for Everett, according to Covelli. Covelli said Myers struck a nearby vehicle before fleeing on foot and was pursued and tackled by SWAT officers. After being arrested, Myers had a medical episode and lost consciousness, according to Covelli. He was hospitalized and is in custody in stable condition, he added. A stolen handgun was found beneath the vehicle along the path Myers took while fleeing, Covelli said. About 12 ecstasy pills packaged for sale and a digital scale were found in Myers' vehicle, he added. Myers has been charged with gun running, 4 counts of unlawful sale of a firearm, aggravated fleeing, and eluding unlawful possession of a controlled substance, all felonies, as well as resisting an officer, a misdemeanor, and 8 outstanding arrest warrants. Everett was charged with unlawful purchase of a firearm, a felony. Myers will appear in court pending his release from hospital. Everett was in court Tuesday and ordered held pending a detention hearing on Wednesday. When we come back, we're going to stick around here in the Fox River Valley as we go through some more stories here. Fox Lake man is facing weapons charges after making threats, and we'll also talk about how the CTA plans fare hikes for 2026. You're listening to the WRMN 10 o'clock news. I'm Dennis Green.
Are you dreaming of a getaway? Want to leave the stress of daily life behind? Whether it's a relaxing cruise or an adventurous land escape, planning the perfect vacation doesn't have to be a hassle. At Cruises International, they specialize in vacation destinations, land and sea, making your dreams come true. Located at 1721 Moon Lake Boulevard in Hoffman Estates, Cruises International isn't just about booking travel. They're your personal concierge, trusted travel advisor, and advocate. Your preferences are unique, and they'll take the time to understand exactly what you're looking for. From personalized service to their global network of specialists, they ensure that your vacation is tailor-made just for you. It's time to plan the vacation of a lifetime. Call 800-255-7447. That's 800-255-7447 today and speak to a cruise and vacation expert. Cruises International. It's time to set sail to your dream destination.
Before the weather gets too cold, it's time to finish up those outdoor jobs. That's why ComEd wants you to know that electricity can jump from a power line to you and to the tools you're using. So maintain a safe distance from any power lines. You can also call ComEd at 1-800-EDISON-1 to have those power lines de-energized the next time you do any work around them. Stay smart, stay safe, stay back. ComEd, powering lives.
Are you looking to buy, sell, or trade something? Maybe clean out that attic or basement, or just make a little extra cash? Then don't miss Tradio on Out to Lunch with WRMN AM 1410. Weekdays at 12:30 p.m. Call in to let folks in the Fox River Valley know what you're looking for or what you've got to get rid of. It's easy, it's free, and it's a great way to connect with your community. Call in at 847-931-1410. That's 847-931-1410. If it's got to go, then let us know. Only on Tradio. Here on WRMN AM 1410.
Welcome back to WRMN 10 o'clock news. There's a pickleball pop-up coming around. As part of an invite campaign launched earlier this year, Humana is inviting older adults to, quote, get in the game with pickleball pop-ups Saturday at Woodfield Mall in Schaumburg. The event will offer community members fun and accessible opportunities to stay active. Executives from Humana will be joined by the Association of Pickleball Players and Jolanda Hill, a health and wellness influencer. Remarks begin at 9:10 a.m., followed by clinics until 5 p.m. The event will also include court play, silver sneakers warm-ups and cool-downs, refreshments, guidance on injury prevention, and healthy living resources, and recovery tools including massage devices, resistance bands, and zero-gravity chairs. Visit humana.com/pickleball. A Fox Lake man is facing weapons charges after making threats. A 50-year-old Fox Lake man is facing assault and weapons charges after police said he threatened to shoot 2 people on Tuesday. Authorities said Aaron L. Pierce was charged with aggravated assault with a firearm, aggravated assault with the firearm of a disabled person, and disorderly conduct. He was being held at the Lake County Jail, awaiting his first appearance in court. Police said Pierce threatened a woman and her daughter at their home on the 0 to 100 block of East Oak Street during an argument. Police secured a search warrant for Pierce's home and recovered several firearms. Pierce was also given a firearms restraining order, which prevents him from possessing firearms while the order is in place. When we come back, we're going to be talking quite a bit about immigration. 2 of the headline stories today on the Daily Herald. One of them is nothing to compare it to, says an immigration attorney describing the chaotic and complex system. Also, we see the ICE arrests, but what happens next for the detainees in our area? We've also got a few other stories, including the CTA plans fare hikes for 2026. And more than half of Illinois communities have enacted a local grocery tax. It's currently 55 degrees on this cloudy day as we march up to 60. We're still going to get a few showers here and there around the area. Tomorrow, the sun pokes out where we get a high of 68 and a low of 55. Friday, back to cloudy with a high of 75, where Saturday is going to be rainy with a high of 68. You're listening to the WRMN 10 o'clock news right here on the Talk of the Town, WRMN 1410. We'll be right back after this. back to the WRMN 10 o'clock news. My name is Dennis Green. Thank you for watching. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching either on the YouTube side or listening on WRMN1410.com. Let's get into our headline stories for today. Nothing to compare it to. An immigration attorney describes the chaotic and complex system. This is written by Steve Zalewski. Follow more over at thedailyherald.com. As federal immigration enforcement intensifies, suburban immigration attorneys are stepping up efforts to protect clients and keep them informed about their rights. Battles waged on behalf of their clients largely take place away from public spotlight, in contrast to the dramatic scenes of daily protest outside the Broadview U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement detention facility. But they carry their own brand of intensity. Tricia Chukowski said, a lot of what we as practitioners are navigating is within the same sort of environment of chaos that you see on the outside. Chukowski, an immigration attorney, is based in Mount Prospect. As ICE pursues enforcement goals, due process is being ignored, she said. U.S. Department of Homeland Security officials deny allegations that detainees aren't receiving constitutional protected judicial due process. DHS said in a statement, the average illegal alien gets far more due process than most Americans. DHS said in a statement attributed to an unnamed senior official. The fact of the matter is, those who are in our country illegally have a choice. They can leave the country voluntarily or be arrested and deported. Gurnee-based immigration attorney Jeff Middlesworth said enforcement efforts have reached unprecedented levels. He said, there's nothing to compare it to in previous administrations. Even under the first Trump administration, enforcement, it was targeted at people who may have missed their immigration court or had a serious criminal record. Now it's just kind of rounding up anyone who looks like they could be undocumented. Middlesworth said one significant challenge stems from a recent Board of Immigration Appeals decision eliminating bond for the vast majority of people detained by ICE. Detainees could face 6 to 9 months in custody with no guarantee of winning their cases, he said. Middlesworth explained it would be the same as if you told criminal lawyers that bond doesn't exist anymore. And there are other obstacles as well. Because Illinois law prohibits immigration detention centers in the state, ICE uses the Broadview facility to quickly move detainees to other states, Chukowski said. Attorneys are left to navigate a complex bureaucratic web as families try to locate their loved ones. Chukowski said, to say that it's been a challenging few months is probably the biggest understatement. It's been very overwhelming for these families. Middlesworth said transferring detainees out of the state leaves them with 3 options: wait out their cases in detention while potentially being transferred across the country and forced to switch lawyers, hiring a federal attorney to submit an expensive habeas corpus petition claiming unlawful detention, or self-deporting. He also points to a recent U.S. Supreme Court overturning a lower court order that banned immigration agents from stopping someone based on factors such as appearance, language, and place of employment. Middlesworth said, they're just driving around and looking for people that fit a racial profile. He warned of unintended consequences of such tactics, including crime victims hesitating to contact police because they fear detention. Middlesworth said, who wants to call the police now if they're undocumented? It's going to make us all less safe. Tricia McLaughlin, Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs at DHS, called allegations that federal agents engage in racial profiling disgusting, reckless, and categorically false. She said in a statement, "What makes someone a target for immigration enforcement is if they are illegally in the U.S., not their skin color, race, or ethnicity," she said in a statement. Officers use reasonable suspicion to make arrests and do not make indiscriminate stops. However, U.S. Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bavino, who is leading enforcement efforts in Chicago, told WBEZ Reporter last month agents are arresting people based partially on, quote, how they look. According to McLaughlin, federal officers have faced a 1,000% increase in assaults against them, as well as attacks on ICE facilities like the one in Dallas, where 2 detainees were killed and a third injured by a gunman authorities allege was anti-ICE. Waukegan-based attorney Greta Berna said enhancement immigration enforcement is having a spillover effect in family law court proceedings. She described the case where a father has repeatedly failed to appear out of fear of being detained. Even immigrants that are just dealing with family issues are scared to show up to court, she said. Immigration attorney Rico Borelli said her Warrenville office has been flooded with calls for deportation defense against the onset of Operation Midway Blitz last month. She has heard of people being apprehended while at Chicago's immigration office. Borello said, "We have to explain to our clients, if you go to an immigration court, they could detain you in the hallway. If you do not go to immigration court, the judge will enter a deportation order in your absence." Bercero, who came to the United States at age 10 from Mexico, said she remains committed to empowering clients. She uses social media to educate people about constitutional rights and advises people that law enforcement generally needs search warrants to enter homes. She said, "I want them to know that they have rights under the Constitution. I want them to know that they are not illegals. They are undocumented. I want them to know that this is going to be temporary." Trotsky also provides clients with rights materials and makes sure they have her number on hand at all times. If they are parents or caregivers of young children, they should have important documents like powers of attorney in place. She added, "I do think that there is strength in people taking photos and videos of these interactions between immigrants and law enforcement, because people do need to see it more. And so I have continued to encourage people to do that. Take out your phone, record everything you can." Find more over at the Daily Herald at thedailyherald.com. When we come back, we're going to hit our other headline news article. We see the ICE arrests, but what happens next for the detainees? And also coming up, the CTA plans fare hikes for 2026. The RTA updates the transit shortfalls to $230 million. And more than half of Illinois communities have enacted a local grocery tax. Stick around for more WRMN 10 o'clock news right after this. Now available on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com is the book called DUI Jury Trial, which is the true story of a truck driver in Illinois who was charged with driving under the influence of alcohol. Not only was he facing a revocation of his driver's license, but also a lifetime disqualification of his CDL, which would prevent him from ever driving a semi-truck again. This book includes backstories of the truck driver, the lawyers that defended the case, and the DUI expert witness who analyzed the case and then testified at trial as to the proper protocol procedures of the field sobriety tests as well as the breathalyzer test. This nonfiction novel also includes the actual court transcript from the jury trial, a courtroom showdown in which the final verdict would determine the fate of the defendant's livelihood. The book DUI Jury Trial is now available on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com.
My mom has taken up going to the park to practice yoga.
My dad's going to a club, but not a book club, a salsa club.
Finding new hobbies comes with age.
My mom has started getting lost and not knowing where she's going.
Becoming lost or disoriented doesn't. Confusion with time or place may be a sign of Alzheimer's. An early diagnosis can help improve the quality of life for your loved one. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Looking for expert care in orthopedic or spine surgery? Prime Healthcare's St. Joseph Hospital in Elgin is proud to offer top programs to our region. With a robust line of treatment options, St. Joseph Hospital specializes in minimally invasive procedures along with an advanced imaging suite to assist with orthopedic and back surgeries. Recognized by U.S. News and World Report as a high performer across multiple surgery types and home to highly trained expert healthcare professionals, St. Joseph Hospital is here for your every surgical need.
Back to the WRMN 10 o'clock news. Let's just head on over and get our headline knocked out. This, of course, will be, we see ICE arrests, but what happens next for detainees? Operation Midway Blitz, the federal operation launched in the Chicago area last month to arrest and detain people in the country illegally, has made immigration enforcement more visible and controversial than in the past. President Donald Trump has deployed National Guard troops to the region, and federal agents are arresting people at schools, courthouses, businesses, and hospitals. The arrests are often captured on video by immigration advocates and posted to social media. But what happens after the arrest? Here's a look how the immigration enforcement process works after a person is detained. This was written by Susan Sarkakis. The first question is, what happens when a person is arrested by federal immigration agents? The answer is, it depends on whether they are charged with an immigration violation or a crime. An immigration violation, such as overstaying a visa, can be a civil matter according to the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. In that case, the person may be detained and appear before an immigration officer or an immigration court judge, depending on what kind of removal order they face. Those who have been charged with a federal crime, such as illegal re-entry, appear before a district court judge. Typical cases originating in Cook, DuPage, and Lake, Will, and Kane counties are heard in the Northern District of Illinois Eastern Division Court in Chicago. Another question, where are arrestees held? Criminal detainees could be held in a Bureau of Prisons facility, such as the Metropolitan Correction Center in downtown Chicago, or other facilities that have been contracted with the federal government. For example, the Kankakee County Jail has long had a contract with the U.S. Marshals Service to house federal detainees. King County used to have such a contract. A person with a case in immigration court could be held in detention centers, privately owned prisons, or county jails that have contracted with ICE. For example, a man who was detained at Elgin Community College in September is being detained at the Greene County Jail in Missouri, records show. A man arrested in the raid of a house in Elgin, which DHS Secretary Kristi Noem attended, is being held in a private prison in Michigan. Illinois prohibits state jails from holding immigration-related detainees. How can I find out who has been arrested? For criminal cases, you can check a name on the Bureau of Prisons inmate locator at bop.gov/inmate-LOC. You can also search the federal court cases system called PACER, PACER.uscourts.gov. For immigration detainees, check the online detainee locator system at locator.ice.gov. You will all have to know either the person's full name and country of birth or their alien number and country of birth. What is the Broadview facility? It is classified as a service staging facility according to ICE. A 2020 audit of the facility done to comply with Prison Rape Elimination Act noted it could hold up to 236 people in several rooms of what was once a warehouse. At that time, the average daily population was 9.9 people. The report said people were typically kept there for less than 12 hours. The Chicago Sun-Times recently reported, however, that people are now being kept there several days. All these acronyms, ICE, CPB, DHS, HSI, DOJ, ERO, ATF, who or what are they? The DHS is the Department of Homeland Security. The DHS oversees immigration and customs enforcement, Custom and Border Patrol, and Homeland Security investigations. ICE oversees enforcement and removal operation teams. Other federal agencies are lending personnel to support to DHS, including the Drug Enforcement Agency, U.S. Marshals, and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. To learn more and to read all of these questions, head on over to thedailyherald.com. Before we get out of here for today, let's talk about our final two stories. The CTA plans fare hikes for 2026. The RTA updates the transit shortfall to $230 million. This was written by Marnie Pike. The financial outlook is so unpredictable for the Chicago Transit Authority, leaders released 3 proposed budgets Monday with good, bad, and so-so scenarios for 2026. One thing CTA riders should plan on, however, are fare hikes. The first since 2018, ranging from 25 cents to $15. The action was requested by the Regional Transportation Authority, the CTA noted. The CTA acting president, Nora Learson, said, "This is a unique and unprecedented budget season for our agency. Metra and PACE are also expected to raise fares as federal COVID-19 funding runs out. The CTA's share will dry up first, likely in late 2026. Also Monday, the RTA gave an updated transit shortfall estimate of $230 million for next year. State lawmakers are expected to vote on some type of bailout and released fees during the General Assembly's veto session, which started last week. Learson said in a statement, like transit agencies across the country, CTA has a significant funding need, and we are planning for multiple scenarios for next year. The CTA will vote on its budget in November. Here's a look at the new prices. Regular fares will increase from $2.25 to $2.50 for buses and from $2.50 to $2.75 for trains. A CTA Pace one-day 24-hour pass will cost $6 instead of $5. A CTA 7-day pass will cost $25 instead of $20. And a CTA 30-day pass will rise from $75 to $85. Read more over at the Daily Herald at thedailyherald.com. And finally, our last story for the day. More than half of Illinois communities have enacted a local grocery tax. Illinois will stop levying a statewide grocery tax on January 1st, but millions of people throughout the state will continue paying it locally. Data compiled by the Illinois Municipal League released Monday shows that 656 municipalities, a little more than half of the state's municipalities, have passed an ordinance establishing their own grocery tax. These communities are home to 7.2 million people, or 56.5% of the state's population. 3 counties, Washington, Wabash, and Moultrie, have also approved countywide grocery tax. Governor J.B. Pritzker signed a bill last year eliminating the 1% statewide grocery tax, touting it as a measure that eased residents' tax burden. However, the revenue from the state's grocery tax goes to municipal governments rather than state coffers. To make up for those lost revenues, the law allows counties and municipalities to levy their own 1% grocery tax by passing an ordinance rather than needing a referendum. Sales tax revenues for general merchandise or groceries alike are a cornerstone of many local budgets across Illinois, which is why 70.7% of municipalities took action to preserve this funding, Illinois Municipal League CEO Brad Cole said. The law required communities wishing to levy their own tax by submitting the ordinance to the Department of Revenue by October 1st to begin collecting the tax on January 1st. Thanks for listening to the WRMN 10 o'clock news, where we break down some of the local stories here Monday through Thursday. Stick around for more fantastic WRMN programming coming right up. Out to Lunch with Matt McNeil. Also, What's Cooking Today with Michael Horn. Followed by Talk Time with Tammy and Friends. And I'll be back on the air at 4 for Apolitical Talk Show. Our evening programming at the end is, of course, some sports with Derek Geyer with Big Top Sports. Thanks for listening.